High above the bustling city, in a luxurious hotel suite that sparkled with wealth, Mr. Daniel Cole sat alone. At 45, he was a self-made millionaire CEO, admired for his sharp mind but feared for his cold demeanor. After a grueling investor call, he needed silence, so he pressed the button for housekeeping. The suite's door opened moments later, but instead of the usual staff, a small, timid voice greeted him. He turned and was stunned to see a frail 11-year-old girl, her oversized mop nearly dragging on the floor. Her clothes were faded, her shoes worn, and yet she stood there with quiet dignity. "Good afternoon, sir. I'm here to clean your room," she said, eyes downcast but polite. Daniel blinked, unable to hide his surprise. This was not what he expected, not in this towering symbol of wealth. He had no idea that this girl, stepping into his pristine world, would soon clean more than just his room. She would sweep away layers of pride, dust off forgotten empathy, and quietly begin rewriting the cold narrative of a man who thought he had everything, until he realized the most valuable things in life can't be measured in dollars. Daniel couldn't believe what he was seeing. A child, no older than 11, stood in his opulent suite with a cleaning cloth in one hand and quiet determination in her eyes. "You're just a child. Where is the adult staff?" he asked, his voice sharper than intended. The girl paused, looking down. "Mama's sick," she replied softly. "I help when I can. I work part-time to pay for her medicine." Her words didn't beg for pity, they simply told the truth. She moved to the shelves and began dusting, stretching on her toes, barely tall enough to reach. As she worked, she hummed a gentle tune, something hauntingly sweet and familiar. Daniel, still seated, watched in silence. The hum wasn't just a melody, it was a memory, a thread to a life she used to know. His usual frustration gave way to something unfamiliar, an ache in his chest. In that moment, the hardened CEO began to see not a maid, not a worker, but a little girl doing everything she could for someone she loved. And for the first time in a long while, Daniel didn't feel powerful. He felt human. As Lila stretched to dust the top shelf, her elbow nudged a delicate glass vase. It toppled and shattered on the marble floor with a piercing crash. The sound echoed through the suite like a gunshot. She froze, her small hands trembling, eyes wide with fear. "I'm sorry, sir. Please don't tell," she whispered. "They'll take it from my pay." Daniel stood up sharply, his instinct to scold rising. His mouth opened, then closed. He looked at her, really looked this time. Her shoes were scuffed beyond repair, barely held together. A small band-aid covered a cut on her hand, and from her pocket peeked a crumpled notebook with scribbles. Simple math problems and rough sketches of a house with a garden. That image struck him. His mind drifted back to his own childhood, to nights of hunger and hope, to a single mother who worked 2 jobs so he could stay in school. His anger dissolved. The broken vase no longer seemed important. Instead, he saw a reflection of his younger self in this fragile girl standing in the ruins of something that could easily be replaced, unlike her spirit. Something in Daniel shifted, and for the first time in years, his heart remembered how to feel. Daniel slowly walked over and sat beside her on the edge of the couch. His voice, gentler now, broke the silence. "What's your name again?" She glanced up, unsure. "Lila," she replied softly. He nodded, then reached for the phone. But instead of calling hotel security or scolding management, he simply said, "Send someone else for housekeeping. I need to talk to this girl." Lila blinked, confused, but stayed still. They sat there. An unlikely pair from 2 different worlds, as time seemed to slow down. She spoke carefully at first, but soon opened up. She told him about her mother's illness, about skipping meals to afford medicine, and about how she sneaks into a nearby library to read. Her eyes lit up when she talked about her dream of becoming a teacher, of building a small school where kids like her wouldn't have to choose between survival and learning. Daniel listened, not as a CEO, but as a man who had once dreamed too. He paused, then leaned forward and said, "Lila, I want to help. We'll cover your mother's treatment. And you're going back to school." Her eyes welled with tears, and in that moment, her world began to change. 1 year later, as the morning sun bathed the penthouse in golden light, Daniel Cole sat in the same chair by the window. But this time, instead of investor reports, he held a small, handwritten letter. The envelope was smudged with ink and care, and the return address was a local school. He opened it gently. "Dear Mr. Daniel. I'm in school now, and I'm top of my class. Mama is getting better every day. I read stories to her like she used to read to me. Thank you, for seeing me not as a maid, but as a child who just needed a chance. With all my heart, Lila." Daniel held the letter for a long moment, his eyes misting as a quiet smile formed. He looked out the towering glass walls of his suite, the same city skyline stretching beyond. But somehow, it all felt different now, warmer, more alive. He had built companies, signed billion-dollar deals, and shaped industries. But this letter reminded him of something far greater. He hadn't just changed a life. He had helped rebuild one. And in doing so, maybe, just maybe, he had rebuilt a piece of his own.